It went live. Okay, well, I guess it works now. Now it's a matter of finding it on the YouTube so that I can see the comments. Give me just a second. If you're here already, I'm sorry. There it is. Hello. Hey, I can see it. Let's see if the comments come up normally. Well, we got a good feed. It's going in fast. Sorry, I'm going to move it again. There, now you can see it. So, like the description says, these will be prototypes. They're going to be different. They're not going to be the normal ones. I just threw some earlier, but now I got to make them funkier. Which is like just a little bit more funky. Can't make them super funky. Just a bit more funky. And like it says up there, ask those questions. Oh, it says cone. I meant to say come ask those questions. But I write cone so many times that it autocorrects to cone. This kind of like I did some prototype mugs. I'm gonna kind of bring the bottom in, the outside up, and then give it like a little lip as a separation. But I'm gonna have to make them really thin to make them feel right. So these are gonna be 3 pull tumblers. Really trying to get the clay out of there. Okay. Push the bottom out. Ja. No comment. Nobody wants to comment. Make the words happen. It shouldn't be scary. This is me. Oh, wait. There are comments. They're over there. How come they don't show up down there? Oh. Hi, Malaga. How to get better throwing the same thickness? It's best to start with the same amount of clay and throw until you wreck it, till you get to the point where you've got control. Then you throw it till you wreck it, and then back up just a little bit so that you know the range that the clay will go, and you kind of stay within that range. And typically, when I do that, I'll have the first piece is I usually flop. The second piece will be short because I'm a little overcautious. And then I start to build up, and then things start to plane out. So I don't typically throw sets of anything anymore. But if you really wanted to be consistent, you have to measure. So you got to start with the same amount of clay, and then you set up like a guide, which would be a little pointy thing that kind of marks the edge, and you throw to that every time. But I don't do that because that's not the style of work that I make. You just did say something. I mean, I don't know where people are, if you guys are other potters, if you're somebody new in your career, but participation on the internet is a great way to like casually market or participate kind of thing. Oh yeah, gotta be willing to wreck it. I wrecked the first two things I threw today. I almost always wreck the first few things that I throw, just so I get an idea of where the clay will go, how far I can push it. Otherwise, you're in the safe zone, and nothing interesting or new happens when you're being really safe. So we're going to do another one of those. Not a problem. This one is a little less clay, so it'll be smaller. That's okay. Again, not doing it to a particular size. I made that one really thin too. Yep, each pass that I pull usually gets a little bit slower. My wheel is extra noisy this week. I haven't flipped it over to look at why, but you can actually hear the thud 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 slow down as the piece gets taller. It's a good question, Max. So my clay is almost exclusively from reclaim now. So this clay 2 days ago was sitting on my porch frozen. I brought it in, thawed it out, poured the extra water off, and then ran it through a mixer with other clay that was a little stiffer. And then those two clays I let sit overnight, And then I ran them through another pug mill that evened them out and it made it nice and homogeneous and bubble free and everything. So I didn't really wedge them, I just balled it up to use. I mean, like if I didn't have all this reclaim from workshops, I would be buying clay and just cutting it off the bag, unless it was a larger amount of clay. If it was a larger amount of clay, then I would wedge a little bit. So I'm using the rib to scrape the slip off and to make those flat, clean surfaces. The rib is really low friction, so the pieces, even when they're really thin, there isn't enough drag to cause them to twist. No problem, Max. Questions are great. I love me the questions. That's why I do these kind of things live. I mean, I'm maybe 25% quicker if I'm just working and watching Netflix. But then I'm not, and then I'm working and then not teaching anybody anything, and I love teaching. I love pottery and then I love teaching. And I love my wife and then I love my cat. Can't say the cat before the wife, you get in trouble. And I guess I should put wife before pottery and teaching, so it's up there too. Damn it. Could get in trouble. So I don't know. Do you guys follow me on YouTube? Like, how do people find out about the live streams on YouTube? Like, where do they show up? I guess, is anybody new? Well, the rib here. Quick tip on the rib. That if you hold the rib perpendicular to the surface or close to it, so you're almost at like a 90-degree angle to the surface, and less like this. If you hold it more like this, it's going to get stuck. If you hold it more like this, you end up scraping, and it's a lot less surface. It's good that way. Bad the other way. Oh, very good. To promote the orange coloration. Well, I don't know how far you are into the glaze calculation, formulation aspect of your world. But if I wanted more orange, it's a relationship to iron. And there's a couple ways you can control iron in a glaze. One is adding more iron. More iron gets you more orangey bits. Second is having a darker clay body that the glaze can pull iron from. And thirdly would be your reduction cycles. So if you're doing early body reduction and a really heavy late reduction, you're going to end up getting the iron pulled to the surface of the glaze. Oh, it's such... As soon as I stopped using, I don't know if you guys are in the States or not, but we had a rubber rib that was blue. It came in two sizes, a little one and a big one. And I used to throw a lot with the blue rib. And then I, went to a new school, and people were using the metal rib. And as soon as I got the metal rib in my hand, my work just went. It was it clicked. Things just worked so much better with the metal rib. I didn't know how bad it was until I got rid of that blue rib. I'll see people give advice, oh, don't use a metal rib, they're dangerous. It's like, yeah, but they work so good. You just gotta be careful. You know, you wouldn't cut your steak with a spoon because they were safer. No, it's the right tool for the job. You use a knife. Okay, so that'll be 3 like this. What do you think? You guys like those at all? Metal rib or bust. Yeah, that is a good. That's a good shirt. You make that shirt, I'll buy it. Metal rib or bust. There are people that hate the metal rib, like really, really hate it. Like the metal rib cut them once, and they've forever sworn a vendetta against the rib. Alright, I'm futzing too much. Futzy. I always end up futzing a lot on things that are new. You know, I don't know how all the little parts play yet. Kind of guessing on things. Okay, so we got 3 like that. Let's do. So this is gonna be kind of like what I did earlier. I'm gonna play with it just a little bit more. Is it? How do I? Maya? Maja? I'm so bad with names, especially in other languages. But hello. The reason my whole video started were pottery classes where people would miss a class, and I made videos so that they could go back and look at the lesson at a different day. And then found that people, it was at the beginning of YouTube, and people were like, hey, we like those videos. And I made a bunch more videos. And I think I've got one that's almost at 1 million views. That's a lot of people I might have helped. Or depending on where they're going to school or whatever, really ruined. The other thing I like about being live is that you don't have to, there's no script, I don't have a board of things that I want to make sure I say. It's not like I'm grinding for views or anything. It's just simply just sitting down and getting to throw. Which is always the best. So what do you guys do? Where are you in your clay journeys? This is one of those opportunities that, maybe you're shy. Maybe you're just starting out. That if you get your name out there and I see your name and later on there's an opportunity for me to help you kind of thing, the more you participate, the more I recognize you. Hey, Rarely. I'm guessing that's not your actual name. Thought about New Zealand a lot this week. I feel for you guys. Hello, Evelyn? Evelyn? Guten Tag! German's the only thing I know a little bit in. Hast du Obst? Elberbola. That's it. That's all I know. funny that we can be all the way around the world, and we all have the same issues. We all struggle with the same exact things when it comes to clay. It's so universal. Sometimes our ideas of particular forms and stuff vary and differ, but we all end up being the same. Yeah, I can't really teach all that in high school. Oh, just hit my little finger. It's a little credit card tool. So it's just like I think it was a hotel key card that I've cut so that I can get into these little nooks and crannies with a surface. There's also the nice sharp corner here. I can sit here and go, make it look like it's threaded. Patricia, how can you throw yet, or are you still starting out? Throwing's hard. How long did it take you guys to learn how to throw, if you know how to throw yet? Because it took me about 3 good years, and that was a lot of clay for me to really learn how to throw at a regular kind of basis. I get a little jealous of my students and the people that have access to YouTube now. There's a whole other way of learning how to do something. That's okay. Take your time. Enjoy the process and not knowing how to throw. Because once you learn how to throw and you get it, and then you gotta figure out what you're making. Sometimes that's worse than learning how to throw. That's what I'm doing right now. Is kind of strumming through ideas. This one I'm going to make a double walled foot. We'll see how that goes. Hi, Lori. No, some people picked it up a lot quicker than I did. I was not. There are people that say, "Oh, you're so talented." No, I'm not talented. I busted my butt to get where I am. There was nothing was easy for me. I sucked. I was really, really bad. But knowing how bad I was and how I got to being better is what allows me to kind of show and teach the really important parts. Because nothing just happened. Like, I had to actually learn the hard way how to throw. Okay, so this one we're gonna open up. We're gonna leave the bottom thick a little bit. Well, are you doing it for a grade? So I can see how some grade stuff gets that way. Throwing with intention, yes. Sometimes it's not as cracked up as it seems. So we're going to take this one. I'm going to pull a little bit above here. And I'm going to push this stuff down. Hopefully I give myself enough that I can do something with later on. So I'm going to pull this up. Trying to get it as thin as I can, is what I'm going to try to do next. No, that's kind of my jam. That's how I throw. Knuckles are less joints between what I can push on. All right, so we're gonna make a narrower spot there. Stretch that out just a little bit. And we're going to go back underneath here, hopefully. So, Rose, have you seen my throwing videos? Or because there are a few about how to pull and everything. center and all that jazz. This one here. What I'm going to try to do is collar that in so I can stick those together. Why am I doing this? I don't know. Could be interesting. Ah, neuro stuff. That is it's a crazy place to be. My wife has survived through two traumatic brain injuries, and the brain is such a freaking wild machine. And we understand it so little. I can bet it's frustrating. Yeah, metal ribs. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to try to make it look like a straight-walled cylinder, but I've got that space in the bottom now that is double-walled. So later on I can cut out spaces in the bottom and still have a functional tumbler, but with a little more interest in the bottom. If it all goes right. This is reclaim through a pug mill. This is like magic reclaim. She'll never be what she was. It's a new normal. It's kind of a weird thing to say. I remember the first time somebody said, "Well, you just got to find the new normal." It was like, no, screw you. She's gonna get better, but not everybody gets better, and that's not always a horrible thing. Is it frustrating some days? Yeah, but she's alive and she can talk, and she's relatively happy. And those are the important things, right? So now look, we got like a cylinder, but on the inside it goes whoop and then down, so I got some space to cut stuff. But am I brave enough to collar this in to make the can? Nope. To make that top of this last one? No. Always cylinders. So the information that you get from making cylinders are transferable to about everything. It's not the same as making a bowl, but you got to do to make a bowl all the things that you have to do to make a cylinder. And then after cylinders, I would almost say skinny neck vases. Like skinny neck vases train you and teach you to do all sorts of things that are transferable as well. Hi, Sherry. So I should probably do one more of these so it doesn't look like it's just a fluke. Understandable. Understandable. So I'll do one more like that. All of them want friends. You know, they gotta be friends. in. Leave some thickness up here. And then kind of from the bottom. Get this wet enough and then push that over. Let me see if I can read there. If you can center comfortably and well, it out coming up. Is that okay? Without coning up? Ah, it's the same thing that happened with my title there, coning and coming there. You can center without coning up and down for sure. I have found that it is significantly easier to do by coning up and coning down, because coning up allows you to, when you center, to incrementally, a little bit at a time, push the rest of the clay into the middle. Whereas if you try to wrestle an alligator right in the name of the right in the beginning of centering, you're having to center all of it at once. This is a Soldner from, I want to say it's from the 80s. It's before they put the serial numbers on the wheel themselves, and it's a nice wheel. It's a little loud right now. There's something going on underneath there that I gotta fix, but it's the wheel pedal that makes the difference. Having speed control. This clay is on the stiff side of clay that I would use. I'm efficient in how I work. So I'm getting it close. And then I'm going to clean off both of those surfaces before I stick them together. Kind of use the wooden knife there. Well, clay that's too dry or too wet are both an issue. I find that clay that's drier is actually easier to throw thinner and taller pieces with. It's less floppy. Whereas soft clay is easy to center, but much harder to form. That one's a little bit thicker walls, so we can trim that to be smoother. There is that line there. I don't want to push it though. There's a thin spot down there that I like looking like I know what I'm doing, I suppose. Yeah. So now it's got a partner. We got 2 more. Then it's dinner time. So coning up I'll try to slow this down a little bit, what I'm doing. So when I comb down, I'm going to push forward, and a little bit at a time it drops into my right hand. So I'm not centering that whole thing at once. Also, can't really show it here, but there's a regular video that I have on here, more on centering, and it goes through and explains what's happening while I center. It makes a big difference. On those last 2 tumblers, it's just airspace, so that when I cut through, there's like a, it's more interesting. It's much easier to throw them without that. But I don't know how many people are throwing those like that at all. Hot pocket. You know what? I'll do that for you guys. I'll keep doing these live. I'll finish this 8 up live streaming for you guys. I can do a potbelly mug right after I do the next tumbler. I'll do a potbelly mug. No problem. And that's one of the bonuses for watching live, is getting to do, getting to ask, and then I can do requests. I don't know exactly when these will be ready to trim, but that would be the next step. It was a slow start today, but now we got people asking questions. It really, as somebody that's live streaming, I mean, I'm not a big numbers person. Like, I know some numbers because they're interesting to me, but for the most part, I don't Instagram to get followers, and I don't post videos to get views. I post things because I just love teaching, and when you're by yourself or not many people are commenting, it doesn't feel like you're putting your time into the thing that's most productive. So when you're just talking to yourself, it's lonely. I've only done a few on YouTube. I've done maybe 4 or 5. But if this is something you guys will participate and play along with me, I'll do them more often. I mean, I'm working in the studio almost every day, and I try to put a lot of it online in some fashion so that people can ask questions that I can share. I don't think college is a necessity for craft art form like what we're working in. Nope, I lost my little guy. Okay, now, oh, there he is. Sponge on a stick. So it's just a piece of bamboo with a half a sponge tied to the end. Well, glued and tied so that it doesn't come off. I could do that. Next week, actually, when I go to trim these, I'm I have a chuck that I need to actually put the rubber part on, and I will do that in the live stream for you. How does that sound? Now I'm gonna ask a weird question. It's only weird because it has to deal with like weird stuff. Don't be scared. It's not a scary question. It's just a weird one. I do almost everything for free when it comes to education. Like all my YouTube videos, I get paid through Google AdSense, but it's not that much. The stuff that I do on Facebook is all for free. There's no monetary stuff coming in directly from doing that kind of things. If I was to put up a way for people to pay, like let's say you really enjoyed this and you wanted to give me $1, 50 cents, is that something that people would do? I know there are online people that do those kind of things. But it always just felt a little weird to me, which is why it's kind of weird to ask the question. I think Dante there, he has a patron now. So that doesn't seem weird to people. I guess it just seems weird to me because I've just done so much of it for free that it seems weird to ask. I wouldn't want to do anything that's special. No special content. I would want it to be free always. Like all the content would always be free, but if you wanted to pay for something, you could. I don't want to. I definitely do not want to exclude any of that. Oh yeah, free. Like the reason I do it free is that I ended up having to spend a lot of money on my education, and I think it was unnecessary. Like I could have gotten this education without having to go this much into debt. And I think passing that cost on to other people is like the game that colleges have played. Early access? That's interesting. But even that, okay. If we're being frank and everything here, guys, are we talking as friends, talking as buddies, that I don't want it to be any different. I want the content to be free. I want it to be like nothing's changed, except here's the option to give me money. That I wouldn't even want to bring it up because I feel so weird about it. And I also worry that it would end up being kind of grindy. You know, that if I was doing it for the money, then I'd end up doing it all the time, and I would just be putting out crappy content for $1. I wouldn't want that either. I think that's actually just for charities, but I'll look into it. I'll see what there is. I mean, I don't want to be a charity either, I guess. Thanks for talking about that. I feel a little better. I don't know if I'll do it. But I needed to talk about it. Does anybody know if Patreon, is it just Patron? I think I'm just gonna call it Patron. Do they take a percentage? I mean, they gotta make money somehow, right? to look it up. Thanks, Patricia. Okay, we're getting to the end. The next is the pot belly mug. Maybe what I do, but, or do I teach? No, but let's say, it's a good question. I mean, Sherry, it's stuff that I have thought about a little bit, that when I'm at the studio, they're paying for all of my attention. Or, except for Beth, she doesn't get anything. She just gets heckled. No, that they're, I'm not double dipping. I very rarely am I making work for myself. Whereas here, I'm making stuff. I'm just conversing as I do it. And sometimes that's a motivation for me to be in the studio. It's like I've got Sunday night pottery class tonight. I'm gonna get to teach people stuff. So that gets me in the studio. But I'll think about it. And I really appreciate you guys giving me your thoughts on that. Alright, that belly mug, you ready? So, I'm going to keep it, this will be the simple way. I'm just going to open it up, flatten out the bottom. Now I'm going to pull up and towards the middle. Hi Janice, thank you. And then I'm going to pull another straight wall, right? So now it's kind of angled in just a little bit. I'm going to go underneath, I'm going to cut the skirt, and I'm going to angle it just a little bit underneath with the needle tool, or with the wooden knife. So there's a little bit of belly there already. And then I'm going to take my metal rib, with the inside wet, I'm going to push out against the rib and push the rib into a curve and let that follow the curve around. Clean it up. And then typically the top here has like a little recurve, something like that. You could leave it smooth. You could put an edge here. And then you get the water out of the bottom. Well, and then people deal with the lips differently. I typically will, just kind of finger push it. You could use a chamois. It's going to depend on the kind of clay that you're using and the kind of glazes and stuff. Cut it. And there we go. On a piece like this, here, I'll cut this one in half so you can see the inside too. At the bottom, we'll leave enough, get my needle tool here, to cut in a little bit there. And then this outside point, I try to leave as wide as I can so that it's the widest mug possible with the amount of clay there. And then this bottom's thin, so it would pretty much just be knocking a corner in there. And then this would push in as I trimmed. Voila, the muggy mugs. Okay guys, thanks again for participating. That means a lot to me. And as these go, these will probably get trimmed on Wednesday. Should we make a date for Wednesday? Let's do it. Wednesday. Hopefully there's no doctor's appointments or anything. Wednesday, let's do 4 o'clock on Wednesday. Sound like a plan? I think it sounds like a plan. We'll do it. And then 4 o'clock on Wednesday, we're going to put together a chuck. So we're going to glue it to the bat. We're going to glue the rubber on it, maybe. And then I'll be trimming in chucks, so you get to see how they work. Okay, Wednesday it is. I'll see you guys. I gotta wash my hands and stuff so that I can turn my computer off, or turn the little phone thing off. In a typical live stream fashion, I always spend the last few minutes cleaning up so that it's less cleanup later. This is a yes, Eastern. Sorry about that. Doesn't everybody live on the same street as me? Yeah, it's Eastern time. I'm from upstate New York. As for you guys, I didn't say where I was from. So I'm a little outside of Syracuse. So much easier to clean up when things are wet too. If you wait to clean up when everything's all dried and crunchy on it, it's so much harder. Ooh, doink. Right in the schlep. Okay. Oh, little birds outside. Little bird.